officially welcome you guys to the Startup World Cup. It's a big night. We got 10 big founders here tonight. Thank you all for coming. Give it up for the Startup World Cup. So we're actually going to start by introducing our partner, Pegasus Ventures, which is the host of the Startup World Cup. We've got Christian, who flew in from Silicon Valley. He's going to tell you guys a little bit more about the event, as well as the organization. So come on up, Christian.
Ready? Thanks everyone for coming out. Again, this is Startup World Cup. It's the #1 startup pitch competition in the world. And thank you all for specifically coming to the St. Louis Regional. It's people like you who help make these events possible. I mean, we are the hosts, but we have our great partners. But we would all, need you guys, of course, to have these events. But yeah, special thank you to our partners, Tech St. Louis. Obviously, we couldn't have this event without them. So please, special round of applause for them. That's a little bit more about Startup World Cup. So we'll have probably around 120-ish regionals taking place all over the world. Each regional winner will come to San Francisco. They'll pitch against each other for a chance to win a $1 million investment from Pegasus Tech Ventures. Across all the regionals, there'll probably be around a little over 10,000 applications. And with the regionals combined, as well as the grand finale, there'll probably be around 50,000 plus attendees. So fairly sizable event. And then a little bit more about Pegasus Tech Ventures. So Pegasus is the venture capital firm behind Startup World Cup. So Pegasus was founded back in 2011. We now have over $2 billion in assets under management that's spread across around 40-ish funds. And we're coming up on around 300 investments at this point. So we run a bit of a unique business model for a venture capital firm. We call it venture capital as a service. We are primarily partnering with multinationals, helping them out with their innovation initiatives. So we are primarily setting up strategic dedicated funds for each LP or corporate partner. That's why we have so many funds. As far as our mission, it's fourfold. One, helping to foster the discovery of innovation, promoting the spirit of entrepreneurship, getting these startups connected with the right customers, talent, and investors, and of course, getting them the media coverage that they deserve. So this will just run through a few highlights. One of our partners is actually in Bangladesh right now, but all over North America, and then yeah, South America, Africa, and Oceania. So it's a global event, as you can see. And then there's a map showing a good number of our events. As far as the grand finale itself, it will be in San Francisco, October 15th to the 17th. So the 15th will be semifinals. That's when all the startups will pitch against each other, and we will decide a top 10. Workshops, seminars the following day, and then the finale itself is on the 17th with a networking party following after. So we'd love to see you all there if you're able to make it. Again, $1 million investment prize for the overall winner. As far as numbers for the attendees, probably be around 3,000-ish attendees, comprised of a good number of investors, corporations, startups, and then we're usually pretty well represented by the media, usually having some sort of panel or fireside chat or keynote, something of that sort, with some of the members of top media outlets. And then previous speakers, so usually top tech luminaries and at least one member of Shark Tank is usually giving a keynote at the finale. And then previous judges, again, usually members of top incubators, accelerators, VCs, and CVCs. So yeah, if you guys can make it, you can use that promo code right over there. Then there's a QR code that you can use. Again, October 17th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Hilton Union Square in San Francisco. And then something sort of new that we're doing. So we will be partnering with Blue Startups for the East Meets West event. So it'll be the largest startup-related event in Hawaii. So if you need an official reason or work-related reason to come out to Hawaii, now's your chance. Again, April 2026 will be of course, another regional, but also it will be around bridging innovation between Asia and North America. So I think fairly interesting there. We have to go next slide. Emily has departed. But all the more reason to think more about Hawaii. Look at how fun Hawaii is. Come to Hawaii. And then we also have a mentorship program now. So at this point, we have some number, hundreds of mentors helping out with entrepreneurs and startups. Thank you. Shit it. Some number of entrepreneurs and startups helping out with entrepreneurs and startups. So if you're looking for some way to give back to the startup community, you can check this out. You can follow the QR code to learn more. There are benefits to being a mentor, so there will be exclusive workshops and trainings put on by our team. But then the top 10 mentors will have their travel expenses paid to come to the grand finale. So check it out if you're interested. Then something sort of unique that we're also doing this year. So the grand finale has always featured a few dance teams for entertainment during the interim sessions for entertainment. So we decided to do a dance challenge. So we're looking for 3-minute long videos to go along with our Startup World Cup dance song. So if you guys are interested, you can follow the QR code. The overall winner does get $100,000. So yeah, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy the event.
Okay, well, so we're just going to keep juggling technical challenges as we go. All right, raise your hand if you have not been to a Startup World Cup event before. This is your first time? Cool. Well, so we're going to run you through what the model looks like. First, we're going to introduce our incredible panel of judges. So we've got Vic Laquara, who is from Steakhouse, and he has played an integral role in this process. He was the head judge and trainer for the first year of Steakhouse. He also led the Velocity cohort, which trained a lot of the companies that are here today. So give it up for Vic for always being a huge champion. Next, we have Atul Kamra with 630. 630 Ventures is one of our biggest investor groups here that funds fintech as well as cybersecurity. Atul was one of our big judges last year. He's always a huge supporter of not only the World Cup, but also TechSTL and our Tech Week programs. Give it up for Atul for coming. And last, we've got Mark Munsell. Mark just graduated out of leadership at NGA. He is a free bird now, right? Civil, out of the government. But so he's now the new leader of the Geo Futures Initiative. He's driving a lot of the investment and programming for the Defense Innovation Hub, as well as geospatial and AI here in the region. And so he's going to be spurring some really exciting entrepreneurial growth here in St. Louis. So give it up for Mark. All right, so a little background to how this works. We've got 10 companies that are pitching tonight. All 10 of these companies won their first regional competition that we hosted during Tech Week. So they've already gone head-to-head with their other 10 companies. So they're going to be giving a 5 to 6 minute pitch. They will then have Q&A for 3 to 4 minutes from the judges. We will then score all 10, and we will announce a winner before you leave tonight. So be sure to stick around. It usually takes about 10 or 15 minutes for deliberation. We announce the winner. That winner tonight will represent St. Louis in the grand finale event in Silicon Valley. So part of this is also being a good audience. So we are prioritizing a good video pitch for our founders because that's an invaluable asset. We've got an incredible production team back there. Paul Hyrant is always showing up and doing some great job. Give it up for Paul for doing, he does all this pro bono, you guys. I want to thank the T-Rex team for making all of this happen, for always supporting this. So thank you, Noah. Thank you. So this first pitcher, we are actually going to have to do via Zoom because he had a family emergency. He is in Chicago. So we're going to switch, and I will pull up his deck.
So how's it going, everybody? My name's Tyler from UFAB, and I'm here today to tell you about how we are changing how circuit board manufacturing or PCB manufacturing is done. So to start, a little bit about myself. I have a degree in electrical engineering from Washington University, and I've worked in a freelance hardware engineering and PCB design role in a plethora of industries, from plant growth chambers to music synthesizers. So to start, what is a circuit board and why should you care? Printed circuit boards, or PCBs, are kind of ubiquitous in our modern world. They're present in everything from your car to your toaster. You're seeing me thanks to circuit boards. They're the highways that connect our silicon components together and represent a growing $82 billion industry. But here's the problem. Let's go back to that graph that I just showed. It's an $82 billion growing industry, expected to grow to 140 plus billion by 2032, except that's the global manufacturing market. In the US, we're currently expecting little to no growth in the industry over the same period of time. That means, as a percentage, we're actually losing ground to overseas production. What does that mean? US domestic PCB manufacturing is entirely uncompetitive globally. With the way the industry currently is, we simply cannot win on price. And that problem is really inherent to the ways that circuit boards are made. Traditional manufacturing requires millions in upfront costs to build large factories and have high fixed costs, such as labor, CapEx equipment, huge facilities, not to mention the licensing for chemical waste, chemical disposal, insurance. And it's not really any wonder why industries have moved overseas. It's the only way to lower these fixed costs for the traditional model. And these problems really stem from how boards are made. It's a dozen or more production steps with specialty machines that require a lot of labor, a lot of energy-intensive processing, and environmentally toxic chemicals. And our solution, UFAB's solution, is the PCB. It is a patent-pending laser manufacturing machine that can print circuit boards without the use of chemical etchants. Pictured here is our prototyping machine used to rapidly turn out small batch circuit boards. What we've essentially built here is a fab in a box. Our technology replaces all of the machines traditionally used in PCB fabrication, such as photomasking, chemical etchant baths, drilling machines, solder masking, and more. We are replacing an inflexible traditional fab line with a more cost-efficient, agile, and modular system. The PCB pictured in this photo right here functions identically to a traditionally fabbed board and looks identical as well. The only difference here is that we made it on a single machine in 4 hours rather than 12 machines over the course of a week. So if the global PCB market is expected to grow to $144 billion by 2032, why not do that here in the States? With our technology, that can happen. Our machine is creating a competitive advantage to manufacturers by allowing for agile manufacturing, reduced labor costs, chemical and procurement costs, tooling costs, and reducing facility space requirements. Our production margins are far and away better than traditionally fabbed circuit boards. Our technology makes domestic PCB fabrication price competitive with overseas PCB manufacturing in a way that no other technology can. Not only that, we're scalable. Our operation is out of a 1,400 square foot facility, while our competitors need massive footprints. Small, self-contained modular machines mean lower setup costs and faster ROI. We're lowering CapEx costs for the same manufacturing output. And the obvious customer benefit here is cost. We're reducing CapEx, reducing labor costs, chemical waste, lower energy consumption, and eliminating tooling and masking costs. I think we've established that. But beyond that, our customers benefit from a lot more. We offer faster turn times, more sustainable production line flexibility, and security against IP theft, supply chain uncertainty, and tariffs. We're targeting a plethora of customers, but mainly focused on a core segment of businesses and manufacturers, so fab houses, assembly houses, OEMs, contract manufacturers. And as I said, this market is huge. As an example, all of these new AI data centers are going to need circuit boards to put their NVIDIA chips on, right? And our timing really couldn't be better. With supply chain uncertainty, volatility in geopolitics, focusing on onshore production, we're offering a technical solution that solves a major problem, not to mention rising trade barriers and tariffs, which impact tech goods specifically. We've seen a lot of growth since our founding. Won Arch grants in 22. We built out and sold a machine to Washington University in neuroscience. We built out a 24-hour rapid fab, and we've won multiple grants this year. Additionally, we've seen a lot of traction on the business side. We have LOIs and partnerships with a major copper-clad laminate manufacturer. We're planning to announce that soon, as well as a qualifying order from $1 billion+ company with plans for more orders. We've begun phase 1 trials with a Chicago-based specialty PCB manufacturer and talks with multiple OEMs and contract manufacturers to integrate our technology into their production. We have a great team that can execute on this. George and Ryan have been amazing developers. Doug has been with the company since before it was founded. Not pictured here are the interns and industry mentors that have also helped propel us forward. And so with that, thank you for your time. Here are my links, my QR codes, and yeah, I'd love to hear some questions.
Should I start?
Hello.
Hey, John. This is Vic. I'm curious as to, how many units is your target customer going to purchase or lease? And then, how does that kind of stack up to the expected output with whatever they're using currently?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. So we've had people who are interested in acquiring like 1 or 2 machines. I talked with somebody today who was thinking more along the lines of like 10 machines, right? So I think it really depends on the scale of the manufacturer and what they're looking to do.
Just to follow up to that, so kind of thinking about ICP and your target customer, what is that scale? Can you give us a little bit of a sense of that?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, just thinking about your ICP and the target customer, which you defined. Maybe you can go back to that slide for all of us. Talk to us a little bit about what that output is. Like, 10 machines. What does that scale? What does that scale to?
In terms of
output.
Output, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so output, I mean, it really, again, it depends on like the boards that they're having. So we talked with customers who are doing, a couple panels a day. We've talked with people who are interested in doing way more than that. The domestic market is weird right now because a lot of it is small batch, high churn. So what they're doing is they're basically changing whatever's coming out of the factory line every other day. And so what we're kind of offering is an ability to do that more efficiently while, no tooling, things like that. The PCB manufacturing industry is so broad, so different, that it's really tough to pin down one singular thing that a customer would want to do, if that kind of makes sense.
Hey, this is Mark. I'm looking at your slide that you have up here right now. It makes a lot of sense to me for universities, research labs, maybe research military projects. Makes a lot of sense for hobbyist freelancers like I buy one of these, right? But this build piece, get back to Vic's question here. The reason that they, these Asian companies are able to produce what they produce is because of the scale that they have. Do you anticipate changing your model to? Is it right now just buy more machines, or are you planning a product line that will produce more?
Yeah, no, we're definitely building. So we're building something we're calling the Fab Box, or the panel printer. It's essentially a larger version of our printer that does a full production panel, which is an 18-inch by 24-inch panel. And the idea there is essentially we're scaling up the laser power and the right area to do those larger panels and increase output. So it's not just that we're limited to these the printers that were the photos that I showed you in the beginning of the pitch. We're actually building something that's more comparable to a large high throughput machine.
Hey Tyler, maybe if I can just back the truck up for a moment. Take any of these customers. Can you just describe what is the pain they currently feel and that you're going to make it much, much easier for them, better for them, cheaper, faster, you know, a year or two down the road? What's the pain they feel today?
Yeah, so the biggest pain right now is being price competitive. It's really tough to sell yourself as a manufacturer if your competitor overseas is doing it for half the price, right? Tariffs aren't really helping with that, to be honest. So the real solution is to reduce the cost associated with manufacturing, and that's difficult to do when your fixed costs, say, your environmental licensure for using chemical agents or the labor required to run these specialized lines is kind of like set in stone. So that's what we're solving, is we're creating a single piece of equipment that doesn't require all of the inputs associated with traditional fab, and makes it significantly easier and cheaper to produce boards in the States.
Just one last question. From a pricing perspective, are you allowing these businesses and manufacturers to purchase the machine and then there's an ongoing kind of maintenance, SaaS kind of thing for the software, whatever it might be? Or is there, is it a lease option? How are you going about that?
Yeah, so we offer purchase options with follow-on service contracts, and then we also have a leasing option where a customer can lease out a machine for a specific period of time and then choose to renew that lease after that lease is expired.
Thank you.
All right.
Is associated with that as well.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Great work. Alrighty, good evening. My name is Tova Feinberg. I am the founder of TD Farms, formerly known as Vertigrades, and we are a modular farming company. You all have probably seen the headlines, and it's even possible that you have had firsthand experience, but either way, it is evident that our food system is in crisis. We all want quality produce, however, it's so hard to find, and it's clear that there is issues within our supply chain. It is more evident that year over year, millions of people are getting sick each year from the food that's actually supposed to nourish them. Farmers are under intense pressure to feed the masses, so they have to resort to harmful chemicals to keep up with the quantities. However, those toxins are leaking into our food. Our food has to travel thousands of miles to get to us, and it's losing its nutrient density along the way and getting damaged. And finally, billions of dollars and pounds of food are being wasted each year while so many people are going hungry. This is inefficient, this is dangerous, and this has to change. So introducing TD Farms. We are a hyper-local produce manufacturer that grows on demand. And this is really what fresh produce should look like. So how do we operate? Well, we harness modern modular technology. So within these modular units, within shipping containers, we do not use any harmful chemicals on our products. We can grow within 365 days a year, no matter if there's a big tornado or this crazy heat wave we're experiencing, our produce will remain the same and consistent. And finally, we are virtually wasteless because we grow on demand. So basically, we're going to take this revenue that will be the seed for reinvesting to create a farm network. So currently, we have our first farm in Maplewood, which is about 10-15 minutes from here, with the capacity to have up to 10 farms, which is about 25 acres of cultivation space on top of the 3,000 square foot lot. And from there, we would convert farm sites into more farm sites, spreading from the St. Louis region, going through the Midwest, and potentially beyond. So why us? What makes us unique? One is smart modular growth. So we're able to convert these farms, turn those revenues into more farms, really limiting the amount of extensive capital investment to get them started. We're direct to kitchen fresh, so we do not go through a third-party distributor that keeps into the refrigerator for another week or two until it finally gets to the kitchen. It goes straight through us. We are the distributor as well. And finally, each modular unit is its own customizable environment to grow a variety of different crops. So our journey so far, we started in November 22. Happy to say I've reached over 100,000 in revenue as of today, and now we're about to scale up to 4 farms equivalent to 10.4 acres of cultivation space. And then we're looking into the microgreens market to go straight onto the grocery store shelves. So our customer journey in action. So it starts with a product mix consultation with either the chef or the grocery store manager to really determine what products that they need. Then we put them on a harvest schedule, it could be weekly or bi-weekly. And then we deliver the same day as we harvest, so you get the optimal freshness. They know exactly where it's coming from. We are the middleman. And finally, we use reusable tubs. So they are stackable, extra space lids to limit damage. Especially when they're stacked in our delivery trucks, we guarantee no damage to the produce. So our focus growth. Currently, our active clients are independent restaurants and grocery stores along with food service. Thinking like bigger catering like Flick, which is a national caterer. And then finally, in progress, we were doing the smaller restaurant chains, small grocery store chains, as well as direct to consumer. But the customer channels are really endless as far as who we can target. And this is our momentum, this actually works. So we have several active clients, some that actually just moved from in progress to active. We have a wait list growing, that's why those other members are in the in progress channel. And finally, those next ones are going to be those grocery stores and restaurant chains that I mentioned. So let us talk some numbers. So these are our main crops that we're growing with microgreens is the market that we're going to enter. We sell our lettuces by the head with roots attached, so the shelf life is actually 3 to 4 weeks with the average of $2.15, and you're looking at gross margin of 53%. With the higher gross margin items, you're looking at 80 to 85%, and those costs, since it's vertically integrated, is including labor, there it goes, is including labor and the rent and the software to run these farms as well. Perfect timing. So if we look at this from a steel box to cash box, if it is just lettuce growing inside of these units, you're looking at about $100,000 in revenue. And then if you're looking at microgreens, you're actually looking at $322,000 in potential revenue a year. So meet us foodies. We are a team of foodies, 30 plus years combined of food and beverage hospitality experience. And the big central focus for us is food is more than just fuel. It's really what dictates our health. It's what makes memories, creates community. And so that central focus is what's really driving us team of foodies to build this startup. So the future of farming is here. I'm calling all visionaries to bring healthy food to community and beyond. And I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Go, sir.
Okay, so how does it work? Is it, I'm unfamiliar with this, how you grow things in a container.
Yes.
Is it
That is a perfectly understandable question.
low soil? Is it hydroponics?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, so I do hydroponics. We are using a drip system. So we have the cultivation tank that comes through some PVC pipe into the water emitters. It attaches to the felt with the nutrient-dense water, and then it drips down and attaches to the root system. So we can grow about 3,500 heads of lettuce a month.
And is it more suitable for certain types of crops than others, I assume?
So it is proven for over 500 different crop varieties, and I've actually tested more than what has been done. So really it's leafy greens. You're looking at some root vegetables. Tomatoes have not been proven. The only ones that have not been proven are really your nightshades like an eggplant, but there is some research that is being done. Avocados have been proven now, as well as dwarf citrus trees.
What kind of power is needed?
Great question. So it's about 252 kilowatt hours a day. So it is very energy guzzling. However, I have started to kind of implement some things to help with the energy efficiency. So I've cut down my bill in about a third by implementing some, like a third-party dehumidifier inside, adding some shade on top of the unit, and then we're entering some R&D projects to see if we can grow in little to no light. So we're trying to really push some innovation within this modular farming to make it more energy efficient. Sorry, I'm talking really fast.
How are you regulated?
How am I regulated? It's a great question.
Are you regulated?
Just weed.
Just kidding. Let's enter that market. No, so working with, distracting me. So as far as the regulations with the R&D, there will be a lot of biosafety and everything in place. Right now, we just have our SOPs in line. We don't need to have certain green safe certifications right now. I am food safe certified. But when we target those smaller restaurant chains, there are some people I've connected with now to really implement kind of the biosafety that will be needed in OSHA when I get those bigger kind of companies. But right now, it's really just having the SOPs in place, doing the regular maintenance checks. We have a third-party electrician to make sure that everything is running smoothly, everything, with the city permits, wholesale license. So as far as regulation, it's making sure my crew follows the SOPs and keeps the industry standards.
No, like USDA or any of that?
Not needed right now at this stage. So when you're an independent farmer, you're going to independent restaurants and grocers, you do not need that certification yet. Now, if I'm going to go to Schnucks or Deerbirds, which is the plan in the future, I will be needing to do a little bit more of this food safety, like some certification with the USDA. So that is in progress.
So you go to an independent restaurant, they're sourcing their produce from someplace today.
Yep.
What's the pitch to an independent restaurant that says, don't use them, use me?
Great question. So if they're going to like a What Chefs Want, which tends to be one of the higher end food distributors.
What's that?
What Chefs Want.
Okay.
If you ever look inside of the trucks when they're doing the deliveries, you will see these cardboard plastic boxes that are just crashing on top of each other. Things are being smushed, nothing's organized, the containers are not very temperature friendly, and a lot of their produce is damaged. So I have over 14 years of food and beverage experience. I've seen the deliveries come in, and I used to actually make those orders. And like with the lettuce, for example, about half of it is damaged. So if they're coming to me, one, the shelf life instead of about 2 to 5 days is 3 to 4 weeks for a head of lettuce. I'm using tubs that are actually able to stack. They don't have to worry about throwing them away. And it's very easy for them to exchange them with me. I give them the full ones, they give me back the empty ones. So you're guaranteeing no damage to their produce, so they're actually paying for what they're actually supposed to get. And no chemicals, they know exactly where the food is coming from. And those value propositions, I haven't had one client flinch as far as my premium pricing.
So somebody's buying an X amount of lettuce or an X amount of herbs. Can you meet the entire demand for a particular restaurant? Do they have to still buy from 3 other people and you? Because I mean, what's the friction between starting to use what they use today versus what they would use for?
Yeah, great question. So the lettuces I provide are not the mainstream lettuces right now. So I do have some romaine varietals, however, they are like a trio of different color, very, very bright, but not usually what you find in a typical Caesar salad. So as far as volume, with my unit, I have 8 consistent restaurants that I am serving, and I can meet as far as a lot of them, I'd say the biggest one is about 10 cases a week. There's no issue as far as volume. So I do have an 80% marketability that I put on the farm in case there's an error, they have an emergency run that they need, and then I have the wait list built to meet up the demand. So when I get these next 3 units, which is equivalent to 10.4 acres of cultivation space, I mean, I could even get someone like Andre's Catering, which are going to need at least like 300 pounds a week.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, next we have Yao, Assertion AI.
All right, hello everybody. Yeah, good to be here. My name is Yao Shepherd. I'm co-founder, CEO of Assertion AI. So Assertion AI, what we do? So we build generative AI, large language model based listening engine for data teams that need to deliver predictive models. So if you need to build a fraud detection model or predict churn, so that's the customers we're serving. So the platform automates the full machine learning or predictive model building process, cutting delivery time from several months to be less than an hour. So that's what we do. The problem we're solving is that I've been working in data science and AI for over a decade. Actually, still 70% to 80% of the predictive model development time is still manual. And then you need at least one data engineer, one data scientist to spend about 3 months to answer any predictive question. And this market is huge. This market is called auto machine learning or auto ML. So with a very reasonable estimate, bottom-up approach is about 45 billion TAM. So still, okay, still working. Okay, so 45 billion TAM, and then also with a very reasonable pricing, and then estimate is about 36 million that can be achieved in the very near future. So to address this market, we developed the first large language model empowered platform that automates the entire machine learning workflow. So instead of hiring data engineer, data scientists, and then for them to work on 3 months on one problem, you just need to leverage the platform and then get everything done within an hour. So this tool is accessible to literally anyone. Mostly we are targeting data analysts, data engineer, data scientists, and business leaders. So the tool has been built by myself. So I have been working in data science for over a decade. I was doing data science at MasterCard as well as Linux. So I have a co-founder, Chuan Mei, who has proven track record in AI product launch. And then we have 4 additional consultants who have served more than 20 clients across multiple industries. How does the solution work? So you just ask a question, I want to predict the churn rate of my customer, and then you feed in with your data dictionary, then the engine will take it from there. It will think like a senior data scientist. Instead of spending 3 months, you will think through that process, writing thousands of lines of code very rigorously, and then return all the code to the user so that they can actually directly run it, which is production ready. We believe we are years ahead in the competition. We are the only solution that even tries to automate the entire process. Our competitors, such as Pegasus AI, so they are backed by Y Combinator, so they are still solving the last 2 steps of a predictive model building process, which leaves about 70% of the process untouched. And there are also other tools that only part of the process. So we also designed a very scalable business model. It's a SaaS-based model. Each user, we can generate about 54,000+ annual revenue, and with more than 80% margin. So where are we now? Because of the complexity, we spent over a year developing the product. So we finished the product development. We launched it early this year. We're very proud that we joined AI2 Incubator. So AI2 Incubator was founded by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen and the Institute of AI. If you follow AI news, you know yesterday there was a big news. So they received funding of $150 million to develop open AI models from NSF and NVIDIA. So they will develop those models for scientific innovation. So we are funded by them. They really believe in our technology. We're very happy they provide up to $500,000 pre-seed funding for us. So this quarter and next quarter, what we're doing is we're refining our ICP with them. We're seeing really, really strong early signal from our marketing campaign. We also got 100,000 approval from MTC, and then we are hoping we are really strong signal. Based on a strong signal, we're very confident that we can start to raise seed funding end of this year or early next year. And that's it. So before I turn to questions, I'm going to say that I was here last year to attend the Startup World Cup. I know all of you that don't think that St. Louis can be a great city for startup. I just say that no, that's not the case. If you have some idea, go ahead and try it. All right, thank you.
All right, this is going to be a two-part. Okay, two-part question.
Okay.
First part of the question is, you've defined your initial sum as 500 customers, $35 million opportunity. Can you help us narrow down how many employees does this ICP have? Because every business wants to implement some predictive modeling in their company,
yes.
Right?
Yes, thanks for that question. So we did discuss about this before. So we did some market research. We interviewed, so my connection had 20 people. We also talked to about 30, so in total 50. So what we are targeting now, the biggest success that we're seeing is Series A to Series E companies. Yeah, so they don't have a really internal machine learning team. They have a lot of needs to deliver predictive model. So those are the customers we're targeting, and we're seeing very strong signal. Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's a level of, all right, we're going to give you all of our data, and then we're going to tell you what we want from that.
Yeah.
As an output. How much of that process have you automated on the back end versus is manual now? And in a year from now, what does that look like?
Yeah. So one clarity, I mean, it's a little bit technical. So we do not need their data. We only need the data dictionary, which means the description of the data fields. So the whole thing is automated. Basically, you ask a question and you supply the data dictionary, and then you call this platform, which is a technical term API. It's like a service you call, and then it will return you thousands of lines of code, and then you just run through that process. So they run in their environment. Yeah, so that's a way to be scalable so that we don't need to worry too much about sharing data with us, a very lengthy legal process, and so on and so forth.
Are you eliminating jobs like data scientists, right? Really, just seriously though, right? A lot of companies are spending millions and millions of dollars hiring folks to build these predictive models. how much of those jobs are you just kind of saying, hey, you don't need that?
Yeah, so I don't believe the jobs will be gone, but I believe the roles and responsibilities of this job, software engineer, data scientist, data analyst, will change fundamentally in the next few years. So you need to be very familiar with using these tools and focusing on asking more business questions. For example, when I advise to some of the data science leader, I say, hey, don't think about just building one model. Think about you can build 100 and then answer the question in a totally different way, because that enables you to answer a question in a totally different way because you're not limited by that anymore. So think about that, and that's the way I see the future. Yeah.
Let me put it a different way though. If I'm a Series A, Series B, Series C company, and I'm weighing, hey, I have to either bring on all this engineering talent and data science and AI, or I can use you. Is that?
Yes. So you can actually use it and save a lot of money.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Paul Allen Institute incubator program? How is that hard to get in?
Yeah, it is very hard to get in. So we are the only company they've ever founded from St. Louis, which is very proud. They only get about 6 every year, and so they get engaged highly. They have a few partners working with you every week. And then they introduce you to their kind of partners and potential clients. They also work with major clouds. They give you up to almost 500,000 cloud credit to use.
Yeah.
So.
And have you engaged with it? I mean, you went up there already?
Yes, I visited them 2 weeks ago. Yeah. The best time to visit Seattle is in the summer. Yeah, the rest of the year is just rainy.
So again, 2-part question, maybe one's linked to the other. How good is what you're building? And how do you tell what you built is any good?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And a little bit like 3 sentences probably. So I started an AI consulting firm in 2021. It's because I saw that data science are struggling, a lot of teams. So we do have a secret source. So all of that data science consulting knowledge has been embedded into this. And that's why we spent over a year developing this. So that's just from a how to make it work. But we can't just stop there. So what we did is we built a very independent validation. So we have this summer, we defined like 100 use cases where a really good data scientist solved the problem. And then we have the machine solve the problem. And then we independently validate the solution. And we use large language model to make this automate so that every new solver, every new version of this platform comes out, all of those validations will be run, and then we will compare the model output versus the human to make sure that the model is actually on par or better than that.
That should be the second page of your presentation.
Thanks for the feedback.
How much domain knowledge do you need? So if I have an insurance use case, or if I have a food use case, or I have a use case in I don't know, take a third industry, how much domain knowledge do I need to build something that's got high fidelity?
You actually don't need that much knowledge because of the large language model. I thought in the first place we have to feed it with a lot of consulting knowledge. At the end, we only feed some of the tricks that we use in our consulting to the model, but all the base knowledge is from large language model. So it has access to a lot of the research, kind of basically all the articles and the research papers, some of the really deep ones, it also has access to. So you don't really need a lot of the base knowledge anymore. You just need to ask a question, and then the platform is supposed to help you out. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that when the platform tries to do that, it is actually not making the mistakes a data scientist or a machine could make.
Is there any risk from these big frontier models being able to do this eventually?
Say it again.
Is there any risk from the big frontier models to be able to do this?
Yes. So we see that as both an opportunity as well as a risk. So because of the complexity of building, automating the entire thing, you need to spend a lot of time, and then we believe we have kind of an unfair advantage because we spend a lot of time on AI consulting. So we believe we're ahead of the curve, And then, so when I say the risk, of course, if they spend a lot of resource on this, yes, they can, of course, they are so big and there's so much money. But what we believe is that we are ahead of the curve. I think that is actually a great access strategy for us.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So one of the things that I like the most, especially about when we get to these regional finals, is that the 10 companies came from 10 different industries, right? So we're seeing some of the most advanced startups that we have here in St. Louis, but they're on such a wide variety of topics. So you guys are gonna see startups from ag tech, biotech, cybersecurity, AI, fintech, software, right? It's all over the board, which is really cool. So next up, we have Quema, which was our biotech. Come on up, Ollie.
$56 billion. That's how much workplace violence costs the US every year. What's the most dangerous industry to work in, you ask? Healthcare. Every hour, 2 nurses are assaulted. This is such a problem that we have a shortage in our country. There's 2 million nurses working in our workforce today, missing in our workforce today. So before we understand why this is, let's think about how it's like working in healthcare. I'm sure most of you have worked retail sometime in your lives. So it's like working retail, but every single customer is hungry, in pain, sleep deprived, and has expectations of service equivalent to a White Lotus level resort. Also, everything is beeping. So where does workplace violence happen? It happens in the hospital, in the brick and mortars, in the clinics, obviously. And because these are targeted acts of violence, it happens in parking lots. And the future of healthcare is at the patient's home. So it also happens at the patient's home. So we took something that healthcare workers wear in all scenarios and made it smart. We created the world's first smart badge rail. Has a little button on the side. I can discreetly press that without escalating any situation of violence. And what happens next is pure magic. It either piggybacks off your existing Wi-Fi network, providing your exact location, whether you're in a 2 million square feet facility or if you're at your patient's home. What happens then is it notifies security. They can come to your aid in a minute or less, anywhere within that building or that parking lot. And if you're at a patient's home, it notifies the police and your supervisor. In both these scenarios, we're reducing response time. And when you do so, you drastically lessen the severity of a violent incident, which means more care given, more lives saved, and more dollars saved. Integris Health is the biggest healthcare system in Oklahoma. Before deploying Quema, less than 38% of their staff felt like they could do something whenever they felt unsafe. In just 3 months after deploying Quema, that number went up to 88.8%. And that's an increase in psychological safety, which means nurses stayed and they could also attract further nurses. And that was enough for them to roll us out to all their home healthcare staff, and we're now deploying in their behavioral health facility and 2 of their emergency departments. Integris is pretty proactive though. These are states that have passed panic button laws for employee groups. Most recently, well, next year, retail workers in New York and California are mandated to have panic buttons on them. So the trend is pointing in the right direction. And we've proven this with users from C-level executives to clinic workers, to behavioral health workers, to hospice workers, to paramedics. And these are all our customers. Our business model is so simple. We charge as low as $5 a month, as high as $25 a month. What's the variable? User count. We're incentivizing all our customers to have as many people on our platform, and that includes everything, including 911 response. A game changer we started investing in last year is our technology is now compatible with Juniper Networks, HP Aruba, and Cisco. Those 3 providers account for 80% of all enterprise infrastructure. So if I press this button, I can use the existing Wi-Fi network to know exactly where you are, which is a game changer because it means we're plug and play ready tomorrow. And through that, we've had some co-selling opportunities. For example, I had the honor earlier this year of presenting at a healthcare information management conference with one of the founders of the wireless network controller. His name is Bob Friday. He's known as the godfather of Wi-Fi, and he's also the CTO of Juniper Networks. And through them, we signed a reseller agreement with two of their biggest resellers that combined do over $4 billion in annual revenue. But we didn't stop there. Because healthcare systems purchase through group purchase organizations or GPOs, we actually signed 2 GPOs in the last month, giving us 8,000 hospital members who could just buy our product through a pre-negotiated contract and price list, which is a game changer in our industry. But we have a vision beyond healthcare. 400,000 workplace violence assaults happen annually in the US. We know that 68% of employees feel unsafe at work today. And the laws I just mentioned are being passed quarterly. We're going after 83.6 million frontline workers, giving us an $8 billion market. Let's talk about some more attraction outside of healthcare. We are actively engaging with Walmart to deploy our technology as a pilot in advance of next year's law. PetSmart is also in line with the same Juniper Networks infrastructure, so we're plug and play ready. Molson Coors is a current customer and is actually rolling us out to another location. Social services are basically caregivers, so we work with Catholic Charities with a pilot right now in New York, and everybody knows education has violence issues, so we're getting our first national customer with Toronto Film School. I've been building teams for over a decade. My first startup had a deal with Samsung where we did over $1 million in revenue. I met Coelho Baceta through my Latin American Connect. He's a top 10 open source code contributor in Latin America, and we have access to talent where we're building our software team in Peru. And Gabo has industrial and electronic experience design. That's how we brought our product to life. We've managed to recruit some of the best advisors, like Eric Sean Clay, who's the healthcare security expert, to David Calicut, who's the current CEO at Ochsner Health. So our goal is actually simple. When you're real safe, you feel safe. Thank you very much.
So, accurate indoor location information is really hard. And how accurate is this?
So we've actually increased the accuracy to room level precision because we do predictive analytics with their existing Wi-Fi network. Most of the times they're not ready to have precision to that level, but they can reach there because they're 70% with the infrastructure. So if they're buying 50 more access points to have precision in this floor, that's a lot easier than time them to come in there and install like 200 or 1,000 individual repeaters.
Okay. And then just as a follow-up to that, what's the average contract value that you're seeing right now?
So mid 5 figures is the smallest contract we have, and that's in the hundreds of users, but most of them are looking at it for thousands of users as a rollout goes on.
And it's like a land and expand.
Yeah, exactly. So we enter, so for example, one of our customers started with their CEO, CTO, and CMO, and now we're doing home healthcare, and now we're looking at some of their clinics as well. And that happened in a 9-month time frame.
And you imagine like your costs are going to reduce as these areas have more and more devices that are kind of helping you pay your understanding the kitchen.
Yeah, when you say cost, do you mean?
So in terms of like putting up more repeaters or more points of access so that you can kind of ping off.
So we don't, that's not our business
You don't
unit.
do that.
We don't do that at all. We partner with the Junipers, the Ciscos, and the Arubas. That's why they like us.
Yeah.
So they get us in front of the customer.
Yeah.
So for example, Walmart has 600,000 Juniper Networks access points.
Yeah.
And because we're already compatible and their preferred partner, we got an easy in to their security level directors and have already looked at pilots with them.
Is there a threshold in terms of how many devices a space needs to have before you'll take them on as a customer?
That's a hard question because it's an ethical question, but I work with home healthcare agencies that have 100 people, for example, which is small, right?
So back to the geolocation issue problem, competitors. Obviously, a phone would provide better geolocation because it could have GPS on it. You know, I mean, obviously, an app would be competitive with this. Do you see like offering an app as a complementary device, or do you see any other competitors there?
Yeah, so actually we have an app, but it's a companion app. So the way it works is when the button is pressed, it piggybacks off your phone and sends you GPS coordinates. So that's how it works for anybody that's off-site. On-site, it's not realistic because if a patient's attacking you, you're not going to be able to like, hey, give me a second, I'm going to unlock my phone and press this button. So remember that that's really the use case we're going after, that last mile, where I can press this screen and be like, hey, Mark, I'm just a nurse with SLM Health. I'm on your side. How do we buy this? How do we get over this? I've already pressed the button and I'm just buying time in that second. Security knows exactly where I am. So that's really our use case, that discrete notification. Getting a phone escalates.
Sure. And you have sensors, planned sensors to put on these things?
So right now we're only doing Bluetooth for bad reel to the access point or your cell phone, but we're adding use cases. For example, most employers is using our technology for evacuation. So we can automate roll call when they have drills and know who safely evacuated and who hasn't with the same bad reel. So that's another like evolution of our technology.
Audio, camera.
So we deal with a lot of unions. So nurses don't wear anything that has cameras, radios on it. And we've already seen that with the body worn cams. Not doing really well in healthcare right now.
Be nice though when you press the button, the camera turned on, right? Whenever.
So we
whenever you
integrate.
get attacked.
We integrate to like Verkada, Motorola, so if the button is pressed, the camera can toggle there, and security can see what's happening for situational awareness, but not necessarily the body cam per se. Also battery life and other things, weights.
Sure.
Does that form factor, back to Mark's question, does that form factor apply to the non-nursing categories as well? Like
Yeah.
I see the nursing category where you're not going to reach out to the phone, but if I'm walking to the parking lot and somebody is following me, I can, to Mark's point, I can just press my phone, and there are businesses where I'm sending a sort of a signal to the closest police station or the station guard or the building I walked up. There are lots of plays in that category, are they not?
There are. Once again, panic buttons have been around for a while.
Yeah.
The having it on you and being able to discreetly press it is really important, even when you're in parking lots, because once again, there are targeted acts of violence, and we actually have a patent to be the only company that puts a panic button in the badge reel, and that's a game changer. We have customers that come to us specifically having tried several panic buttons and say, hey, the badge reel is what I've been looking for. Nobody invented it. I'm really happy that you have. How much does it cost, right? So like that's the kind of engagement we get with some customers who identified that use case.
So what are revenues today, sir?
So we're just under $1 million in ARR.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, give the judges a minute to tally. Next up, we've got Franklin with Zyco.
All right, so a singular delivery invoice can cost a small independent retailer 3 hours and over $10,000 in lost profit, just from trying to track that information. So hi, my name is Franklin Taylor. I'm the founder of Zyco. And we turn that workflow from 3 hours to 15 minutes and help them retain their profit at the same time. So stores like Pete's still take inventory by hand. It's incredibly time consuming. It's error prone, it's hard to track costs, hard to set prices. And as prices have been increasing with competition as well, sometimes those places shut down. And actually, furthermore, in the St. Louis region, over 12 stores have closed down. That's less jobs, less ownership, and less fresh food in the places that matter the most. And I believe if they used Zyco, that could have totally been avoided, just like it was for Tarbino and T&T Groceries. But how so? Well, as deliveries come in, their staff takes a picture of their invoices, and our software scrapes all the data and then uploads it to their existing inventory ERP or POS systems. Essentially what that does is help them track costs historically, set their prices, and essentially gives them the tools that help them compete in their markets. And so since launching in January, we've gotten to 7 customers. We have 3 more that we're looking to close in the next few months. Our first customer, Garner's Market, has gone from a 3-hour to a 15-minute process, and so has Ken. But before we met Ken was looking to shut down. Now, after using Zyco, his manager, Chris, can take inventory without Ken's help, and he's looking to stay around for a little bit longer. So the team that has gotten us here has been made up of myself. I handle sales and spend most of my days talking with owners. We've got Kelsey, who has worked with a family grocer in the past and knows the realities of the back room. And Jason, who's our superstar software developer, has built production-ready AI systems in the past. Now, we've been able to actually reach our customers mainly through founder-led sales, so me going in person. We think that will get us to our first 100 customers, but in order to scale across the industry, we have to essentially create channel sales partnerships, so with payment processors or other industry groups. We know that our pricing is fair at $200 a month, which gives us an 87.5% profit margin, and the first year reaching 40 customers, we'll be able to get to $64,000 in recurring revenue, and then scaling up over the next 5 years to 2,250 customers and $5 million in revenue. Now, this market is made up of 630,000 retailers with less than 50 employees, but we're really focused on the 237,000 food and beverage retailers, but more specifically the 2,250 here in the Midwest. And we're not the only ones incredibly passionate about this market. There's also Upshop, which isn't necessarily built for independents, as well as SupplyV, which isn't really real-time inventory. With Zyco, they get one workflow, tools that are built for them, and help them compete at the same time. Now, we've already achieved getting rid of this manual data entry process in inventory management. Over the next few quarters, we'll continue to build the tools that will help grocers and retailers save time, ultimately leading up to a tool that will basically give them pricing data to see how they rank up against the competition within those areas and how the distributors are working with them. So to wrap this all up, Zyco is essentially the foundational data structure for these retailers, starting with streamlining inventory management. It helps them track costs, set their prices, keep jobs here, keep ownership here, and keep fresh food in the areas that matter the most. So I'm incredibly excited to be building Zyco to help our retailers compete for generations to come. Thank you.
So it's a workflow for inventory management. All I saw was a smiling guy and an old invoice. Mm-hmm. How does it work?
Yeah. So essentially, we have a web app that's on your phone. As the invoices come in, their staff just takes a picture and it grabs all the information. It then formats it. The staff then just has to make sure that everything's correct, especially because things, as Togo was talking about, they go bad and they need credits and everything like that. So after they confirm everything, they just press enter and it's all done for them.
Scan, interpret the scan, some level of human validation. They look at what they just got, they look at the scan results, press a button.
And then it connects to their point of sale system or their inventory system. Yeah.
So when you're going to these smaller retailers, the non-chains, right, it requires a sales force that's very much on the ground, dedicated, and you know, it's a very kind of face-to-face process.
Yes.
And if you have a single point of friction, then that process is really thrown out the window. Since you've been around, what has been kind of the greatest friction point with customers that you've been talking with? Adoption.
Yeah. I think it's that will it work for them, and then the habit breaking of it, because people have been doing basically the same thing over and over again for the past 20, 30 years. They really have like their own routine and such, which is basically here, like this is what they do every day. And people are scared of that. For example, I can't talk to the managers because they think they'll be replaced or they're doing a bad job and such. So I can only ever talk to the owners about this. And then it's, of course, like, is this going to work with my point of sale system and such?
How many point of sale systems and inventory systems are you integrated with, and what's the optimum level?
Yeah, so we're integrated with 3 right now, Square, Clover, and then one called Reflection POS. We just haven't been asked to connect to any others right now, so we just haven't done it. That's not to say that it's easy to do or anything like that, and there's a plethora of them. I don't have an exact number of how many companies are out there.
And Square and Clover don't offer the ability to sort of quickly read materials with inventory that's coming?
No.
You know?
No. They do have inventory platforms, but they're all manual.
Have you talked to Square or Clover about being partners?
No, but if you know someone.
We might know some people.
Okay, that would be awesome.
All right, great job.
So if only I had the budget to pay for Ajo to do all of our catering tonight, and you guys could experience what is so good about fufu and sauce. Okay. The global food industry is a $70 billion industry. Although West African food is the fastest growing trend in that industry, West African food is often left off the table. Hi, my name is Ajo Hunsu, and I am Fufu and Sauce, a West African culinary brand that is changing the narrative about what food should taste like, look like, and feel like in the St. Louis community, and we're expanding fast. I grew up in Togo, West Africa, where food for me was more than just, I give you money, you give me food. Food was not a transactional thing at all. My grandmother's house, my grandmother's open air kitchen, everybody pitching in, aunties and uncles, nieces and nephews, making food together. When I moved to America, I got culturally bereaved because my food was not represented anywhere I went in the US, whether that is here in St. Louis in high school or moving away for college. I was just always told I didn't belong here. 1 in 4 people in St. Louis live in a food desert, which means that people have lived their entire life without experiencing food that's different than their own. West African cuisine is left out of most conversation, although every single grocer that I've talked to tell us all the time how much people are curious about different cuisines. And last but not least, and the biggest impact, is just the lack of cultural equity. People from other places do not feel like they belong. And I'm changing that. And I will keep changing that. That $70 billion that I mentioned is very much championed by Gen Z and millennials just sick and tired of being sick and tired of the same thing that's being provided to them. And the biggest part, which you guys should be very excited about, is that the West African fast casual space is just a white box that is waiting for me to walk into. So we are not just serving food, we're serving culture, and we're bringing a sense of belonging one bowl at a time. And how have we done that? I remember the days where I would pitch a tent outside of Forest Park at different festivals to serve food. We've gone from there 2.5 years ago to 25K meals sold through our food truck, and now our brick and mortar that we opened back in June. We have done events at different universities, including St. Louis University, because we have found out that even college students that come here internationally get into spaces where the cafeterias are not providing food of their culture. And this is not just a West African problem, by the way. To say we are bootstrapped is putting it lightly. I've been told I can do it, and 2.5 years later, I have a food truck, a brick and mortar. I've won national titles and international titles doing this because representation is important. It doesn't matter how much we want to sweep it under the rug. People feel it when they don't belong in a community, and they want that change, and we're providing that for them. So far, our attraction, from doing our pop-ups, we've done 7 events our first year, only on the weekends, and we made 33K. That's when I realized, oh,
West African food is not just good to West Africans, it's good to everybody, right? And so we went from that to the next year doing more event because I really needed my social proof. I know my food is good because my grandma taught me how to cook it, but I want to make sure everybody else felt the same. So the doubling of our revenues year after year was my proof that I needed. And so I jumped in. I quit Pfizer. Yes, I'm a biochemist by trade. And I opened my own brick and mortar because I wanted to tell my story the best way possible. And of course, there's $70 billion on the line too, so that helps. So far we operate in 3 channels. We have our brick and mortar, which is 55% of our revenue. Our food truck still does events. We are currently at Taste of St. Louis. So after here, if you want to go check us out, we are there right now. And one space that we're fast growing into is the retail space. We have our curry spice, which we currently have that can be purchased through our website or our brick and mortar. I'm going to pass this around so you guys can kind of smell it. And that's when I started talking to grocery stores. I'm currently in the Chinook's Accelerator because they are looking in putting our curry in Chinook sales. That curry we retail for $14.99 and we made for $6.25. We have so far sold over 2,000 units, just launching last year in June when we won the Great American Recipe on PBS. So we have so much to offer. And I don't know if my excitement is coming through or not, but I just truly love serving my community. And our numbers are here to back it up. We're not just a fluffy food story. People are really in need of what we're offering. So there are surging investments coming in the pipeline for West African cuisine because that space is really blank. The food is great, people love it, but there is no authenticity behind it. You have other people that are already making other spices that just feel like, oh, I can make that too, but that's not the case. You have to know what this tastes like. You have to have grown and walked those paths. So I am the best person to tell that story best, and that's why we're here. So we are very much built to scale. If you are from St. Louis, you know fufu and sauce. I'm not a stranger to anybody here. And we are growing fast, and we have a team, myself, a culinary expert, a celebrity chef, international award-winning, and McCarthy Spices is making our curry spice here in the St. Louis area. So we are actually also supporting local. We're fast track. We are projected to hit a $3.5 million revenue by 2030 by expanding into different areas. Because right now, our first location is in the city at the corner of Page and Midland because that was important to me. But we plan to get to Chesterfield. We also plan to get across the river. And we plan to also expand consumer good products so we can bring food like this to everybody's home and empower them to do it themselves as well. So I'm building something that I've never had. When I grew up in this country, when we moved here at age 14, and I would go to high school and bring my fufu with me, and kids would look at my food and they'll be like, what is that? But today PBS can tell them. That's all. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
So first, thank you for cooking for us.
Absolutely.
Second, you've given me an opportunity to live out like my Top Chef judge, kind of like
Absolutely.
aspirations all in one. I guess the big question that I have is how fast can you scale this outside of here? Because everyone here, I think, knows that your food's amazing and they're probably going to go taste it at Taste of St. Louis.
Yes.
What is, if you think 2-3 years down the road, is it more e-commerce? Is it more opening up food trucks and an extensive network of food trucks across the country?
Yeah.
I was just in San Francisco.
Yes.
There's no good West African food in San Francisco.
Yes.
New York's a little bit different, but
Yes.
not by much. So what's the vision in 3 years from now? How do you scale?
So it's twofold. I definitely want to start locally and expand. Slow and steady wins the race. For us right now, because of the series of events that we've came from food truck to now a brick and mortar restaurant, we want to expand locally first Also, while doing that, we understand that the national visibility that we've got has gotten people a lot interested in our food and our cooking. So what we're in development for currently is to get to a point where we can have meals like this that are frozen, where people can go to grocery stores, get it, and warm it. We've talked to Whole Foods, and what they've told us is, yes, people are curious about the food, and they like the curries and stuff like that, but they get tired quickly. Because you're like, okay, I did it the first time, and it's a lot, I don't want to do it again. So getting to the point where we can have frozen meals that can be purchased in the store, which they've told us that that's what's selling fast. We've also are looking at getting to places like Factor and places like ready meal packagings that they're delivering to your door, because the diversity of that is immense, of having people food that's ready access. So getting into contract with places like that can help us. The expanding into other states and things like that, Fufu and Sauce by inception is actually thought of as a franchise model. Think Chipotle, think Panda Express. It doesn't exist. I'm gonna be the first to do that, and I am on track to do that because I've been told it's not gonna be done, and here we are.
So the frozen market, packaged market, that's obviously different, right? That's a lot different than what you're doing now.
Yeah.
If you were to expand the model you have now, have you done research on like what city or what region you might do that in next?
Yes, the Midwest. Because in the coastal cities, you have a lot of mom and pop, right? So there may not be West African food per se or our food per se, but there is diversity in food. So the Midwest outward is one of those places that diversity just doesn't exist. So we're looking at going from St. Louis, right? Places like Chesterfield. We have a lot of our retention and customers that come back to us because we've been in the festival fields. The festival field in the past 2.5 years that have that first experience with us at an area. And then they hunt us down to find us where we are. So we've built that social proof for the past 2.5 years. And in this area alone, we have enough people to kind of have a store on the other side of the river, a store on the Chesterfield side of the river. And then from there, we're looking at places like Ohio, like places that are, those states in the Midwestern states that are lacking food diversity, that are looking for new things and not just tired of the status quo. And there is a lot of them. A lot of them. So, yeah.
So it seems like you've proven that there is a demand for this category of food.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sort of abstracting it from, you applied yourself in sort of a local model to prove that.
Yeah.
Are you going to build a business around that, or have you proved that there's a demand for this product that you're going to scale differently?
So I do want to keep the local aspect of it, for sure.
You can be a Chipotle, you can be a factor, you can be a provider to a factor, or does Blue Apron? Maybe not. What business do you think? What business model? Have you made a choice as to what your business?
I think I can be Martha Stewart with this, in the sense of all of the models are possible in time, right? So the local aspect of it is what's giving us the social proof by then. The Chipotle will happen. It's not going to happen in 3 years. It's not going to happen in 5 years, but that's going to happen. We have to get to a point where all of our systems are ironed out so we can get to a franchise model. We're not there today, but we are going to get there. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I guess what I'm saying is, are you going to make a choice at some point as to what it is you want to scale? Or are you going to scale yourself so far that we thought to say, okay, we're going to be in the direct-to-customer Chipotle business, half in real estate, half in labor, half in sourcing stuff, half in machinery.
Okay.
Versus I'm going to have a food truck business, versus I'm going to build stuff in a sector.
No, okay, I get your question. So, okay, the goal is to be a franchise model. I think that's what you're asking. But in order to get to that, I have to understand my process. I'm a scientist turned chef. I didn't go to chef school. I'm just filled with my grandmother's recipes that are good, right? So the local aspect of it and what we're doing in the brick and mortar is learning our process of how do we get it to that franchise model. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right, next
Guess what? The way I'm learning in school is the exact same way all of you guys are learning today. So what I'm telling you is that despite this evolving technology market, the education system is stagnant. Hi, I'm Sadal Shaker. I'm currently an undergraduate student at Cornell University, and I'm here to tell you how we're tackling this problem. So, the education system is designed to help you from your youth to retirement. But the reality is the education system teaches you how to take tests, but it's not teaching you how to live your life. So, how do we create a seamless pathway that addresses these inefficiencies in education to help you from youth to retirement? Great question. Well, Siege Learn is designed to address these inefficiencies and create a seamless pathway to help us from our youth to retirement. We're creating one platform, one continuous journey to support every stage of a person's life. Because the reality is, education touches every single one of us, always. And to add fuel to the fire, there is a huge loss of ROI in the education market. So you're telling me that every single one of us went through this market, yet it is hurting our economy? Well, that is something that we have to address. So as I talked to you just previously, the education system is siloed, it's inefficient, and it fails to adapt. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna address these high debt, skill gaps, and this wasted potential through an AI-powered system that helps us use accredited university and accredited platforms to take those and deliver them to people that give them bite-sized information and gives them those skill sets that they need to advance their lives. So how are we doing this? We're taking those AI platforms that we see today, but we're using them for good. And we're making sure that kids can use them to understand the emerging market. So how to file taxes, how to network, using those tangible skills and growing. So this massive market, it's huge. It touches 3 key markets. It touches that K through 12 ed tech market. It touches that workforce development market. And additionally, it touches that corporate training market. So what does this mean? This means it's over a $900 billion industry that we have to tap into. And we have the team to do so. Our founder is a Titan CEO and is leading one of the fastest growing companies in the St. Louis area. Leo Cunha has spent over 15 years in this ed tech space working on scalable solutions. And we have 4 fabulous partners and advisors, including Scott McNeely, who founded Sun Microsystems, Dr. William Powell, who is one of the top business consultants in the St. Louis area, Dr. Freedom Chiteni, who leads the Stanford VR School, and Dr. Art McCoy, who is a superintendent and a distinguished research fellow at St. Louis U. So I'm going to pass it on to Leo to tell you how this works.
Thank you. So we want to talk about a proven model that has been under research for about the last 8 years, of which Shaker was an advisor to a nonprofit where we developed the technology under the MIT license. And over the last year, we've applied it to a commercial solution. Ooh. That was the wrong button, Emily. Let's see. All right. So right now, we're at a very critical phase of an execution plan that we have. And it consists of developing content partners. And we think about the knowledge that is inside of books, inside of static content, PowerPoint presentations, Word documents. So we have partnered with Wiley Publishers. You probably have read one of their For Dummies books. And through this relationship, we've created 230 courses across 13 career clusters. We've teamed up with another company out of Florida to provide some basic skills to feed into this career readiness platform, and also with a company called GBC Stories of documentarians that give us access to real live video clips that we can leverage within the curriculum. And just last week, we actually signed up with KLIS Radio and some of their podcasts that we're going to be using to add to our business programs. But basically, process is using a agentic AI process that we're currently going to submit for a provisional patent that lets us take this content, submit it to the regulatory and accreditation bodies, like the Western Association that we already aligned with the University of California, take that content, get it accredited, and then delivered through an organization, an institution that can submit those courses and have the kids have them for both transcript and dual credit, and all that using C-Edge-Learn technology. So right now, we have a number of pilots that are running. We have a number of corporate training initiatives and a number of nonprofit workforce programs participating with us, including TechSTL. And if we look at our revenue projections, it's mostly consists of having enough of these programs that drive the student capture, and then reducing the price that students are paying and the organizations are paying, and still come up with a relatively healthy revenue model. So our moat then is based on the technology, on the trust that we have from our partners, and our ability to deliver on time. And those are things that are very hard for any competitor to replicate. So we ask you to join us. And what we're doing is we're raising capital to be able to fast track this, get into 500 or more institutions within the next 24 months, and then to execute on our mission to serve millions of students, to reduce billions of dollars in lost ROI, and to provide a seamless path for the students. Thank you.
So you mentioned you have 300 courses, right? That's all sort of in this content management system that you have, right? And now you're delivering it via video platform or
multimedia, different media.
Multimedia platform. Is the ideal use case with the learners within the school, within the classroom? Or is it the learners that are at home as a supplemental kind of multimedia kind of experience that they have?
Right. Because we have to go through a very rigorous process to get these courses accredited through what's known the UCOP A through G. So we get accredited to the Western accreditation body. Mm-hmm. The courses are of a rigor and quality that they qualify for transcript credit.
Okay.
So there's 3 models, exact same content. A student can go and select the course as a supplemental experience. Like if you go to Udemy and you pay your $10 for the course, and you get a certificate saying I completed this. If a teacher chooses to use the content for their classroom, there's a price per student per semester.
Okay.
And then the student gets that course into their transcript by virtue of the school, the teacher selecting that course. We then have an agreement with the virtual school in Stanford to deliver that course to any state, just like K12.com or FlexPoint, Odyssey. So there's about 3 or 4 platforms where students can go and sign up for either recovery credits or to complete their graduation requirements. Yeah. So we're competing with them. And in that case, they would get the transcript from the virtual school using our inventory of courses, and that would be accepted by any state that recognizes the accreditation.
Just one more. So how do you measure, and obviously this is early in the journey, right? Mm-hmm. But how are you thinking about measuring the effectiveness of the courses? And then how, is the plan to use AI, predictive modeling, other things, in order to kind of tweak those to increase the effectiveness of those modules.
Right, and that's the absolute reason for this, right? So when we talked to Wiley, their biggest concern was somebody buys a book, we have no knowledge if the student opened it, if they read it, how far they got. And there's also no way to assess that knowledge. So we add assessments to the process digitally. We can collect all that data, and we use it for two purposes. Number one, to help building the pathway for the student. And number two, to inform the publishers, the authors, the subject matter experts to say, hey, your content is great, but people are skipping through chapter 3, they're not even reading it. It must be either boring, wrong, or not interesting, you know? So we're helping guide not only the student, but also those who author the content.
This seems like it's a race for content that can train AI models. And what I mean by that is, you know, your big frontier companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, they've been trained on the exhaust of the internet. So even today, right, those best models, you could probably ask them to create a training material. They can ask them to create a course and probably step through. The differentiation here is that you have special content that they don't have access to, like with Wiley, right? So do you see? Do you have any benchmarks that show that you're winning this race, or? I mean, I would anticipate a threat of the frontier models basically trying to get a hold of content that you have also gotten a hold of. Is that a threat?
It's always a threat. We cannot underestimate that. But here's the point. There's two challenges. One of them is if you are building programs of instruction that are based on proven content that has gone through an editorial process, like what happens with the publishers, versus collecting data that is probably factually correct from the scraping that the AI engines do to feed their LLMs. You cannot get to the same level of fidelity to ensure that that coursework and that pathway is going to give you the right result that you're expecting. If you expect, for example, talking to a company here last week that does SAP training, enterprise resource planning, there is no AI that can teach a warehouse worker how to learn how to do putaways, right? So those are the kinds of skills that the AI right now cannot. I'm sure it will be able to in a few years. But then we're going to be following that curve instead of fighting against it.
I'm trying to draw the bridge between content and your premise, which is I enable people to learn better.
Yes.
I think that's your premise. I can improve the absorption and the process of learning. I'm trying to find a connection there, and I don't think I see it.
Okay, so when you build content that is used for learning purposes, there are certain principles of psychometrics, of pedagogies, and different frameworks. Like for adult education, there's ADDIE, there's Bloom's taxonomy. So there's all these different tool sets. Now, when an author goes to write a book that's excellent about a subject, for example, we're introducing a course that came from the Wiley content on piloting drones. So there's a lot of schools that want to offer that to the students. But giving a book to a student to learn how to pilot a drone is not the same as providing him with an interactive course based on the same subject that gets adjusted to meet that pedagogy, that gets adjusted to make sure that we have the right psychometric measurements to make sure that the student is learning and progressing at a certain rate. And to be able to adjust the pathway. The book doesn't do that. This system does.
Just really quickly, in your projections there, what is making up the lion's share of the revenue? Is it K through 12? Is it enterprise? Is it continuing education? And then, obviously, We don't have a crystal ball, but where are you putting your focus?
If you'd asked me this when Shaker presented it a few months ago, I would have said we're going to bet on corporate training.
Okay.
When we look at the numbers, approximately $80 to $140 million are being spent on that market alone.
Yeah.
If you look at K-12, and especially now, there's a focus on AI education and career technical education. So career technical education programs, recently VOTEC, is now part of the Department of Labor. And the amount of funding in that line of work, and we've been able to fill 13 career paths in the last 60 days, is where the money is. So we have 55 million students, which more and more are being driven to go to career training. And if we're charging $10 and we get 10% of that population, we're in business.
Lead with that. I think that's really important, right? Like I actually think upskilling a labor force, St. Louis, Missouri, et cetera,
yes.
Upskilling a labor force that feels like they're left behind, lead with that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we are down to the last three. Next, we've got Jake with Levitt Logic.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Jake Barola. I'm the CEO and founder of Levitt Logic, which is a software offering for city and county government leaders, helping them assess how their policy decisions impact their economy. We turn unusable data into actionable insights, bringing forward two things. Number one is less governmental waste in their spending, and number two is an increase in tax revenue. Currently, there's over $65 billion untracked that's been given to our local governments for things like community development or economic development. It's not that city leaders don't want to track this, it's because they really don't have an effective method to do so. And this is due to time, resources, and a constant evolving door inside of government, because they're competing with the private market just like everyone else. This often leads to city leaders relying on really overpriced and expensive consultants. I know because I was one of them. Not now, but previously. But really the city is paying for this problem every single day. They're paying for it in fraud and corruption. They're paying for it by allocating their resources, their limited resources, in ways that are incorrect. And they're paying for it with a stagnant tax base that they're eager to fix. Our solution, our software solution, is a third of the cost of their current consultants that they currently use. And we help leaders really evaluate the impact of their decisions. And we do that in three ways. Number one, we help diagnose a city's regulation and infrastructure trends. Over a period of a decade, what have you said yes to? What have you said no to? And how has that really worked out for your city? Secondly, we provide them insights on the public-private partnership agreements that they have, right? When they give a developer $10 million or $10,000, how is that played out? Is the agreement that was stamped in the legislator, is that what's actually being played out in their economy, and are their dollars worth the must that they put toward it? And then lastly, we provide them a competitive analysis for their neighboring cities, right? Because we are regional, we live in a region, but there's 85 municipalities in our region. So how do you know, right, what the city of Kirkwood signed when you're in the city of Olivet? Right? When you're dealing with the same private entity, we allow them to see, or we guide them to understand what deals have gone on in the past, while also piggybacking on some of their neighbors' success. If you're familiar with government, you should be familiar with something like this. It's a giant PDF. This is what governments put out, and this is what they have put out for the past 20, 30 years. And it's just a mess. It's thousands and thousands of pages of PDFs that are unreadable, unusable. And what we do is we go in and find these little nuggets. Anything pertaining to financial investment, infrastructure investment, we organize that for them. We organize it by keyword, by address, and then we go ahead and we map it and we measure it for them. We say, okay, out of all these things that you did, which ones worked out for you, which ones didn't work out for you? And when you have stuff in the pipeline, where are your investment and infrastructure gaps? You've been hearing a lot from me. I'm a former and recovering political consultant. I'm also ex-Square, yes. And my co-founder, Ian Bennett, is a geospatial ninja. I can officially say that he is under the umbrella of the NGA, but when we work together, we make sure to go in the sunlight because he doesn't get much light during the day, and he works here in St. Louis. Put those together. We're also advised by the experienced and the connected. Pat Kelly is really the who's who of municipal government. Getting a message or an email from Pat Kelly, if the city manager received it, is like getting a message from your mom, like you better reply. So he's also the current executive director for the St. Louis Municipal League and was formerly in Brentwood leadership for over 20 years. Lance Lacombe is the former senior policy director for the St. Louis Executive in the county, and really helps us make sure that what we're putting out on the technology side is applicable to day-to-day government work. Our competitors, for us, we pride ourselves on having really 3 competitive moats. Number 1, we kind of talked about, which is the easy onboarding, right? All of our city's data, before we approach them, is already preloaded. So all they have to give us is a yes. Number 2, we use primary data, which means that we use their board or commission minutes. Whatever's coming out of their government, that's what we're focused on, unlike our competitors who generally use third-party data, including census data. And lastly, we help them track historical and current TIFs, which are tax incremental financing projects or municipal bond projects. When they have a partnership, we help them track those to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on. We're an annual software subscription for government bodies. Our software package starts at $30,000 and goes up to $60,000. That's really our cap there. All of our unit economics there you're going to see are based on a $40,000 sale. We're in a large market that's projected to double by 2035. Currently, state and local governments spend over $14 billion on planning software, but we are focused on governments with over 5,000 people. That's really our what we're going after. And we're hyper-focused on getting our first 400 users, bringing us to $16 million in annual recurring revenue. The current strategy is we're in phase 1, right? We're knocking on doors, we're going to city council meetings, we're showing up in person and finding existing line items in their discretionary fund. If you've done any government procurement projects, they can take 12 to 18 months at minimum. We're not interested in that. We want to cut that in half, we're competitively priced, and we have been cutting that in half. But really, in order to sell this on a massive scale, forget the formatting there, we need to go straight to governments, to county governments, and say, okay, what are your fastest 10 to 15 municipalities? Let's package this up for you from a county perspective and make this go a little faster and help them actually track their growth in a proper way. You can see larger Midwest metros before coast-to-coast growth. Next summer, bringing on 15 users by end of year 3 at that 200 user mark across 25 different metros. Currently, right now, we're set to be on track for $120,000 in annual recurring revenue, which we reached in about 7 months. So we know this is an incredible validation for our product. Government does move slow, but we're trying to make it move as fast as possible. On top of that, we've established critical partnerships with Esri and AWS, saving over $20,000 in tech spend. We also have, we've secured an MTC venture fund for fundraising, $50,000 in matching funds, with another $150,000 soft circled between 2 angel investors. We're really raising the Series A, user-led revenue in year 3, and our entire seed round is capped at $750,000, with use of funds going to product development, sales and marketing, and hiring key technical talent that's here in St. Louis. Once again, my name is Jake Barola, and I'm the CEO and founder in Levitt Logic, and I hope you can join me in fundamentally changing the way our government invests in our communities. Thank you.
Hey Jake, you said something about the data's like already preloaded, the data's already there?
Yes.
And what do you mean by that? Do you mean like you just take free and open government data and load it up for every city in the country, or what? What do you mean?
I wish it was that simple. We pull file requests in every metro that we go to. So, and that's mostly because when we bring on one customer, we're really bringing on a region. And so, if you're the city of St. Louis, you want to know what, let's say, University City is doing. That's very critical. So, it takes one customer, and unfortunately it costs a lot, right, when we're entering a region. But that's what makes us a little bit of a moat, right? Is yes, we pull all the file requests. We get everything that's publicly available, preload it, data part. We parse the data, and then we map it.
And then you say, it's ready to go.
It's ready to go. All you got to just say is give us a yes.
Yeah. And then the other question is, so I saw that your Esri partner, this runs on the Esri platform?
Yes. The front-end mapping side, So our co-founder runs all of our mathematical regressions in R, and so it's just a great translation. Esri is a great partner. We don't partner sell with them, but we really use it as a front end experience to kind of play with the maps and zoom in and out.
Were those other competitors that you listed, do they also run on the Esri platform?
Urban Footprint does. The other competitors, Argo, which is like more internal, does not. And ClearGov doesn't actually do any mapping.
Who is the buyer?
Yeah, there's like 50 million DMs, decision makers, and I'm over exaggerating, but generally speaking, yeah. Well, Otis, right? Otis is the buyer, but and City of St. Louis is a little weird because we have loads of development commissions and economic. But I'll kind of go. Let's say City of Olivet, right? Because we're working closely with them. The city manager is really strong in the City of Olivet, and you can tell just by my experience, right? You kind of just walk into a room and you can kind of tell the flow of how leadership goes. And so for us, it's really important to find that one decision maker, even though the mayor is going to have to say yes and the city council people are going to have to say yes. There's always that one decision maker, which is usually the city manager or the director of finance, or if they have a public planning head, usually one of those three people that are going to push us for a yes across the board.
And how is the city manager measured?
They don't. And I say that with love, but they just don't have the time. If you talk to a city manager, they literally don't have the time to track the investment dollars after they've been allocated.
Maybe my question is
Oh, I'm sorry.
How is a city manager, what is success for a city manager?
The city manager is elected.
City manager is appointed.
Right.
Yes.
So I think what Utzel's getting at is really what's quantitative, what's the data that's going to move the needle for it, right? That
Yeah.
providing them, right?
They emotionally, I will say the emotional aspect for a city manager is much more important than the data aspect. It shouldn't be that way. But a city manager wants everyone to know that they're running their city as best as possible. And the more clear way they can communicate that, the better. And right now, as it stands, they have a really hard time communicating what a city needs to their leaders who have immense political pressure. So for the city manager to have something that says, here's the data to show this, here's the data to relieve some of that political pressure, this is why we should move in that direction, that's truly, I think, one of the bigger wins for them.
So the metrics of a successful city, or you said economic development at first. That piqued my interest. Could you tell me with this data set? Could you tell me the amount of new jobs in the area?
So yeah, and this is where we had to continue to iterate and step away from, because I see what your question is now. It depends on the city, right? Because some cities, like the city of St. Louis, is really focused on economic diversity, right? So they're not super concerned maybe about how the city performs overall. They're really focused, let's say, on North City. And so, and North City may not bring forward a lot of tax-generated revenue in the next 15 years, but they're really focused on population growth, right? That's really different from, let's say, the city of Chesterfield, right? Completely different. And so what we've done is allow governments to diagnose problems and try to solve problems, see problems more clearly. So we kind of stop there. Does that answer your question?
Some software to measure job growth.
Oh, well, we can talk.
Yeah, I think, so Utzel and I are kind of questioning like how long the sales cycle is, right?
Yeah.
And
yes,
for entrepreneurs out there, it's not just about solving a problem, but it's about solving a problem that has incentive to solve a problem quickly, right? And so it just occurs to me that if you have an election cycle, right?
Yeah.
And there are people underneath you that are appointed, right? City managers, et cetera, that you want them with their shit together and knowing all the facts and how their decisions have impacted the voters and the constituents that have elected them, right? So I'm just wondering, are you still fine-tuning who your ICP is and who you're selling to?
No. No, the traction that we have has showed us we're in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
And I think really the obstacle for us is creating as limited friction as possible. When I go into city manager or director of finance, like, we want your product, we just don't want to go to the RFP process to get it. And they're like, how can you bypass like all of this crap so we can actually just implement this now?
Okay.
That's the piece of friction, is they just want a preferred vendor that they can just go and hand a check to.
Okay.
Which is a harder problem to solve than anything, because there's logistics. But
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Nope, you're good.
Hi everyone, my name is Heath Rutledge Jukes, and I'm one of the co-founders at King of the Curve. And really at King of the Curve, we see the issue kind of with education more so focused in the actual kind of like AI implementation across the board. Now, when it comes to it, really education is built up on three main principles: time put into studying, motivation to actually study, and the quality of content that the student's engaging with. So there was a recent report that about 12.2% of a student's performance is rooted in AI, which is a pretty significant amount, but the rest of it comes from those three principles. And really what has happened in education industry, both at the university level and high school level, is that outcomes have stalled. Really, students are not performing they're not increasing in performance year over year like it had been going on prior to the kind of frontier AI models that have been coming out like ChatGPT, Anthropic, and so on. So kind of what we're doing is we're trying to actually take that pipeline and improve it. And so what we've been able to do is build a education really focused team with industry experience, both at the pedagogical level as well as just general industry. We've been awarded Forbes 30 Under 30 in the category of education, along with Department of Education program engagements and the Global Impact Award, among other things. So when it comes to the actual valuation where we're targeting, we are in a predictive model kind of in that sense, where students, teachers, institutions can embed us in their learning management softwares. They can just upload their content, create courses, and then they'll be compared to cohorts that have already gone through the process, have gone through, put data in, and from there, they kind of get access to that predictive model that actually helps to show a student's outcome before they even take the real exam. And of course, there are other kind of like just scaling up from there. Really what we've been able to sell into at the institutional level has been at that $140 billion kind of market. And then looking at the $700 billion, that's kind of like higher education in the United States and adjacent countries. Now, when it comes to how we actually work, so we have kind of two different pipelines: the B2C, so focused on students, and then B2B with schools, institutions, other education companies. And so students kind of go in, they select a pathway. So I go in, I'm a medical student, I select that I'm studying for history and all of that. And then essentially they engage with our platform. We take those behavioral analytics, the content that they actually upload. It can be as minimum as just a syllabus to a course, or it could just be typing out, hey, I'm studying for, I think the most interesting exam was the Japanese sumo referee exam. I don't know why, but that's great. And so from there, students engage with the actual content, and based on kind of prior cohorts that have gone through it, we actually predict their outcomes on these different exams. Now students can take those analytics, and what we're able to do is actually build a data mode for institutions. So the way that we've actually been able to leverage the data from the B2C side has been emailing schools and saying, hey, salute, we had 700 students that used our platform last year, kind of broken into these demographic categories, and this is how they performed in your classes based on how their self-reported outcomes. Does that match what you guys have? And that kind of gets the school talking. It turns that B2C or that B2B pipeline and from a 16-month process to about a 4.5-month for us. So when it comes to, kind of like the strategies, again, focus on that time, motivation, and actually quality component. Of course, when students upload content, then, from there, those analytics kind of get compared to other materials at similar levels. So if you upload a syllabus that's for like an undergraduate course, you're not going to get given questions that are, at the graduate level or, K through 8. You'll get what, based on what has gone through our process before, you'll get content that matches that. Otherwise, we just kind of engage students with that motivation factor. Of course, students need to be engaged in order to learn. ChatGPT and all of these things can create course modules overnight, but if the student doesn't use them, then what's the point? And so our goal is kind of taking that three-pronged approach and really bringing it to the students. So kind of just look at like a couple case studies. So we have Sally. And just to preface it, the MCAT is a medical college admissions test. So this is an exam to get into medical school here in the United States. And so the score range is like a 472 to a 528. The 500's a median. And so students, or Sally, for example, went through, unsuccessfully applied. I think she got like a 508 the first time. She used KOTC, was compared to thousands of other students that had gone through the process. And then we predicted that she would get about a 517 to a 520, ended up with a 519, and now is at a top 10 medical school. And, just compared to other competitors, this is, we're able to kind of match, industry titans that have been around for 30, 40, 50 years in some cases, just through that process. So we're not even just competing with the new generative AI companies, but we're also, able to, go toe-to-toe with Kaplan and the Princeton Review. Not only are we focused on outcomes, but we're also focused on access. So 27% of students come from household incomes less than 40,000. 93% said that we helped them get into their dream school or pass their exam. 43% said that they wanted to pursue another resource, and then 38% are underrepresented in medicine. Now, when it really looks at the actual components of what makes us different is we're not just a generative question bank. We generate a curriculum that then students engage with and are motivated to study with. In terms of B2B versus B2C traction, B2B, again, 125% faster sales cycle compared to other companies, 500% year-over-year growth in those contracts, as well as just $0 spent on advertising. It's all just cold outreach. And B2C, capitalization rate is about 5 times the education industry. 3,000 classrooms or courses are created every month, and thousands of reported scores. So in terms of our just revenue engine, 610,000 annual recurring revenue with a mix of 500,000 students acquired through B2C marketing, but mainly focused on organic ways through influencers, creators, and so forth, and just good word of mouth. We have plenty of colleges and businesses that we've been able to sell to. Right now we have 30 institutions, high schools in the pipeline with about an estimated $400,000 in contracts outstanding. And so our goal is to raise $2 million. We've already raised $1 million, $500,000 from K4 Capital, which invested in Quizlet, Class Dojo, $400,000 from angel investors, and then $100,000 from Arch Grants Growth Grants. And our goal is to hit $2 million in annual recurring revenue, mainly focused on the B2B side. And yeah, this is just kind of like a look at specifically why us, focused on educational equity, focused on really those different pipelines where we've been able to show success, not just on B2C, but B2B, C2C, all of that, and then actually focused on helping thousands of students already. Thank you.
Just go back to your traction slide.
That's 500K downloads or 500K students?
That's 500,000 downloads. Downloads. Yeah.
Okay.
Downloads, and yeah, we have an app and a web app that we operate, so it's like both essentially. Like accounts created, I guess is a better way.
You mentioned Sally, and Sally was already clearly a very good student, and that's great. And Sally got into a good school, fantastic. I guess I'm more concerned about, or more interested in corrective data, right? Mm-hmm. Where you didn't have a good student, and they improved.
400 score.
So humble. That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're able to do is based on those self-reported scores that students upload. Again, we kind of incentivize it by saying, hey, we'll give you back, if it's with an institution, it's kind of like part of the contract to actually report those scores. Or if a student's doing it just on their own, they can just send it to us and we send them a gift card. And so what we're able to do is actually build a cohort of students and a predictive model based on that student's engagement within the platform and based on their similarities to the next or the next, cohort of students, we compare it to the previous one. And so using essentially just a predictive model and an algorithm to actually be able to say, hey, you're trending along with this user, so we predict that you're going to get this score. And we have, specifically for B2B sales, we have flagged user reports, so it gets sent to the institution when they're if there's a student that's at risk.
So that gets my question though, right? You have a student that's at risk, a flag goes up, there's a feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
Both with the student and with the school or the instructor, whatever it might look like, right?
Yes.
What is do you have any data about, hey, for the at-risk students, we were able to take them out of that risk and bring them to...
Okay, I see. Okay, I understand. So I think that really like the best example of this was like the 43% saying that they wouldn't have pursued another resource. So that kind of comes into play with specifically when like a student's engaging with like a classroom or they're using trying to study for like a high stakes exam. And if they used KOTC, they continued to use it, kind of throughout that. And when opting out, they chose, most of them chose that they wouldn't have like picked another resource kind of like besides us. Yeah. And so I guess in specifics, like, hey, does this school, if this had like 10 flags for this cohort, how many of them got back on track? I mean, that is, kind of when we sell to institutions, that is, on kind of like the institution to essentially engage with those flags. We provide recommendations and like the admin, like in our admin panel for institutions, it's like, hey, maybe Sadly needs an extra, physics lecture, or here's some videos from like YouTube that we pulled that are related to what she's actually studying and what she's struggling with. But like as opposed to like, or I guess like to answer the question of like, do we have the specifics like, 5% are flagged, but it ends up only being 1% by the end. Yeah. We haven't done that, or like we're still like kind of like collecting that data like specifically.
And just to clarify, you said it in the beginning, and I was a little. The student uploads their own material?
They can upload their own, or they can just say, hey, I'm studying for like the MCAT, for example. And then it'll just pull resources from the whole like database of other students that had already uploaded it. So kind of like, I guess like a Quizlet in a way where there's like already pre-existing decks, but we're just pulling it into that classroom that the student creates and, using generative AI to create the content at the level that they needed to actually be successful.
How many of your students are actually going through the whole course? Actively using it, because it's not a course, right? It's,
yeah.
How many students are active at the beginning and then stay active towards the end right before they take the test? Do we know?
Yeah, no. So it's about, we have like I think it's like a 42% like through rate of like completing the entire module. So what happens is you upload, your PDFs for the summer. Let's just say you have 15 lectures, PowerPoint, PDF, all of that. And then it creates kind of like a roadmap for them to go through, where they're then able to, go through like different modules that have, gamified features, all of that. And then once they complete it or hit 100%, that's what we count as like there. When it comes to like actual reporting of successful outcomes or just outcomes in general, it's about, out of that percentage, it's about like 82% reported. It's pretty high. Once they've gone through the course, it's kind of, they've already put the time in, they might as well like report the outcome for it.
Have you cut any deals with any of the ACT study guides and the ASVAB study guide? All of the question banks that are out there today. Is that content?
So we have worked with other kind of ed tech companies that have like, leveraged their, for example, they have a question bank that they've already built. They don't want it altered, and they just put it in our platform and it's gamified. And it has kind of like that. The benefit to it is that, like, let's just say it's for like the NCLEX, like the nursing exam. We also have like plenty of modules in the app that are focused on the NCLEX and kind of like that. So what will happen is that company that puts their NCLEX material in will be graded against the like other cohorts of nursing students that have done other exams kind of like throughout the platform. So essentially they get like, real-time predictive analytics regarding like their chance of passing the NCLEX, for example, compared to other students who had already gone through the platform and passed or failed the NCLEX.
All right, great, thank you.
One question. What would you say you're really good at? I'm just not, the outcomes seem interesting, right? But what is at the heart of the business? I don't understand that.
Okay, yeah. So I think really at the heart of the business is like the data mode surrounding like the actual platform. Because when you think about it with other like generative AI, ed tech companies, you throw in your, like, let's just say you throw in your PDF, your syllabus, and it gives you, a core, questions and all of that, multiple choice, whatever the case might be. A student doesn't know that they're doing well or not. They can get an accuracy, I'm 60% accurate, but how well does that track into their high stakes exams? How well does that track into their actual courses? And when a student signs up, the very first thing we ask them is, where do you go to school? So now we know that, okay, this student goes to Harvard University, they're taking Bio 101. Well, the next semester when someone else takes Harvard Bio 101, we know that, compared to that previous student, we're able to, start matching essentially like cohorts that then predict their outcomes kind of like in those respective exams based on, behavioral analytics within the app, engagement with like videos, images, the questions, etc. And that's something that none of the generative education apps actually have, is that, data mode part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all, we are at the very last presentation, and this one is always a fun switch up because Time Bolt comes with its own videos. So now we'll turn it over to Doug.
People aren't camera shy, they're edit shy. Video is momentum. How long it takes you to make a video you watch yourself dictates, do you even make it at all? Because you don't want a 60-minute recording, you just want the 35 minutes that matter. But even with AI, so-called push-button technology, it takes 2 to 3 hours to fix all the bad cuts. The bottleneck for effective video communications isn't design, it's still speed, and that's why 10,000 people have paid us before raising a penny. The next time you have something important to show, tell, or prove, but hesitate to record a video because editing takes forever, that pause is the opportunity. And when you can edit at the speed of conversation, you'll never write a 5-paragraph email again. But to believe a $12 billion video communications market is actually stuck in neutral, 2 things must be true. First, editing starts with subtraction. To cut the 35% of a timeline that makes you hate the sound of your own voice. Dead air, mic strikes, coughs, ahs, retakes. Step 2, design, that's optional. Second, you'd have to believe that while AI can find the 35% of filler, when it comes to placement down to the millisecond on the timeline, it chokes on all of it. If you look over here, you got ends of words cut off, you get a sloppy start to cuts. Endless clicking and fixing hundreds of times is not automation. Sure, it's faster than the 5 hours that it'll take you to do by hand. AI still takes you 3 hours, which definitely impacts how much video you're gonna make. But this presentation is about the unbeatable speed of faster than you record, and there's only one software called
Time Bolt. Time Bolt. Time Bolt. Time Bolt.
Time Bolt.
Time Bolt. Time Bolt.
Time Bolt.
Time Bolt. Time Bolt.
Time Bolt is so dope, y'all.
I trust them. Hey, that's not bad. Our technology cuts video like you hear it by waveform for a base cut that is 20 times the cut accuracy of transcripts. It's run on device, so local and secure. TimeBolt is a desktop app for Windows and Mac computers. You can auto-remove an hour's worth of silence in 13 seconds, rapidly cut any scene or word as you preview up to 4x speed. Don't restart 30 times. Scenes turn on or off with a keystroke, not a mouse. If you're running unscripted video, run UmCheck. It's our hybrid Waveform Plus AI transcript technology. By combining the 2 technologies and running our own logic, we're able to capture 50% more filler than the competition, and the only software that you can add any unique word, tick, or phrase. You can punch in, zoom around, show people where to focus. You can fast forward silences when the goal is to show, not tell. You can talk 12% faster with turbo mode and not sound like a chipmunk. And you can export as a single video or any one of half a dozen major design editors. Every major video communications workflow is a 1-to-1 edit to record speed. I can even capture with TimeBolt and send a banger as an unlisted link. Think Loom, but doesn't suck to watch. And unless I'm hallucinating, that's the most important thing. Now, Loom did sell for almost $1 billion by proving that async matters. 25 million registered users, 200,000 paid customers. But what they didn't solve for is watchability. 100 million YouTube creators, gaming content creators, educators, and students, and remote workers all making video daily. That's a much bigger market. It's a new category. A zero-fat video editor makes every tool, AI tool, downstream far more effective and far more accurate. It's why Opus Clip works so good when you feed it a cut video from YouTube, but will make you hate your own life if you feed it a raw video. We're a bootstrapped startup. We have high margin models since we operate on the device and on the computer. 48,000 registered downloads, 10,000 paid customers. We have over 1,300 active paying subscribers. 18,000 MRR with 9% month-over-month growth. We sell monthly and annual subscriptions with the lifetime option. Our check is pay-per-use. You don't need to check for ums and ahs inside scripted video. We sell multi-seat licensing for teams. Our key channels for growth are organic and affiliates. We have over 466 non-sponsored organic affiliates. 54% of our largest customer base are YouTubers, followed by gaming content creators, B2B professionals, and EDU. We are raising a safe note to build the first automated video communications app for an iPad. Okay, we've already owned desktop zero-fat video. The next billion-dollar shift is to mobile video editing, where AI competitors are simply too resource-intensive to run on device, but TimeBolt can. And the opportunity is big. There's 20 million global iPad creators and students. 12 million of those are US-based, which leaves an obtainable market of 1.5 million content creators, sales professionals, and educators who want what TimeBolt has, but simply can't find it. We get distribution through Zoom App Marketplace, Microsoft Teams, including integrations with Canvas, Blackboard, and Google Classrooms for EDU. At $15 a month, our ARPU is $75, and our 18-month goal is 100,000 iPad subscribers for 7.5 million ARR. That means TimeBolt on an iPad is a $100 million revenue opportunity and new technology and new marketing jobs for St. Louis. My name is Doug Wolf. I have 15 years in video startups, including the last 3 selling enterprise video platforms, including to Verizon and Houston Methodist Hospital. My co-founder, Quinston Pimenta, he's the technology brains behind TimeBolt. He has 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we can bring home a win for St. Louis because we do exactly as we advertise, and I can prove it. This is the same video shot with at the same time. One is with the industry-leading competitor, auto remove silence and dead air. The other's with us. Be careful, I have to warn you, you're gonna cringe.
You've heard the pitch 1,000 times. AI, edit your video in minutes. But here's the problem with Loom and so-called AI editors. They promise to cut the boring parts, but if it butchers the meaning, it's worse than doing nothing at all. And that's already annoying. You've heard the pitch 1,000 times. And AI, edit your video in minutes. But here's the problem with Loom and so-called AI editors. But if it butchers the meaning, it's worse than doing nothing at all.
I'll just go ahead and save you from the rest of it. TimeBolt makes watchable video faster than you record, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
You keep comparing yourself to the AI competitors, right? Are you not using AI?
We use a hybrid technology when it comes to finding ums and ahs. So it's just like GPS. You're not going to get anything more accurate than the GPS signal, and AI makes sense over the top of those signals. That's what we're essentially doing with video editing. We use waveform detection to identify the bulk of the cuts and then overlay AI, run our own logic, which makes it super accurate.
That waveform detection, is that still some kind of machine learning or deep learning? Or
simple algorithms. And we have very simple, lightweight algorithms. That's why our app is 135 megabits, not 60.
This is something you learned a long time ago that is a lost art?
Yes, linear video editing is essentially.
All right, so first the good news, right? Like I use Descript for my podcast. Everyone can check it out, Drinks with a VC. But I hate it, and I actually hate the sound of my own voice as much as everyone might think I don't. I really do. And but the one thing that I can do in Descript, or that my partner can do in Descript, is we actually do the whole editing suite within the platform. And this gets to the big question, which is how do you make yourself a platform and not just a feature? And I love the checker. I love it. And I love the progress that you've had since you were here at Startup World Cup last year, right? There's some real progress. But I guess, what are you most proud of in terms of your product roadmap? Or what will you be most proud of from your product roadmap a year from now? When I say, okay, it's got to be more than the checker, and it's got to be more than, you know, the unique way that you look at phrases and allow people to track phrases.
What we're very excited about is we've got best-in-class 4K capture, which is really our Trojan horse that we just came out with. It has smart crop because we relied on desktop, but we can actually see what the screen resolutions are. So, for example, I don't know how many people here, you know, edit a presentation on Keynote or PowerPoint on a Mac, and you end up with the black bars at the top and bottom. Well, that's because of the screen resolution size. With Smart Crop, it automatically crops. You're not pulling out a box and trying to figure out afterwards. So we've got that as our Trojan horse that we're able to offer for free. And what we see TimeBolt being is a complete video communication software. We will keep layering in AI applications as they make sense on top of that. But watchable video, that's the most important thing that we can find, especially for businesses and sales professionals.
So I keep thinking about, okay, so now you want to do soup to nuts, the full studio. Is that right?
Yes, we want to continue building.
And then, you know, but if you look at Adobe, for instance, Adobe's not giving away their platform for free, right? And, you know, there's some real value there. Why would you give your platform away for free at that point, right? Like,
I'm talking about capture. The idea is that once you capture that video, if you make it simple to capture, it auto pushes into TimeBolt already, and you're there with all of your cuts already made. Yeah. So we sit in front of everything that's on the cloud. So the more we can put, the more we can put into TimeBolt in that free portion of it, it makes sense just to continue to use it to chop out all the bad stuff. And frankly, we make AI far more efficient and accurate. So what people do, you could still use Descript, but when you import a fully cut timeline without all the extra stuff associated, you're going to spend a heck of a lot less time going in there and pulling ends of words and fixing captions. It makes AI much more accurate. Just like VO3, for example, you can make great video, but you need somebody called a prompt engineer, which takes a certain level of instruction and puts it into a JSON format so the AI can properly read that. We essentially see ourselves as an application layer for AI.
So then, so my last question is, you've got 9% month-over-month growth, and it sounds like your users use you for about 5 months, right?
Yes.
But they don't stop being content creators. So, number one, what is the one thing that you feel like you need to do from the marketing standpoint to increase that month-over-month growth? And then on the kind of churn side of things, how do you create more? This looks like it would be great to create more stickiness, but what's the biggest complaint that your customers currently have?
A lot of them drop out of content creation. They just they try it. It either works or it doesn't. They churn at quite a high rate, but we're talking about our customers come back to us. They could quit for a year or two, and then they come back for a month or two. Where we really see big opportunity is in B2B and with sales teams, with doing customer interviews, podcasts, peer-to-peer communications. You're going to have a lot less churn, but we're going to continue delivering value.
Seems like you're slow to get on the iPad. Is it an engineering problem or a strategic decision?
That's what we're raising money to do, is to be able to hire an offshore team along with some onshore resources. It costs about $35,000 to put TimeBolt on an iPad, but somebody's going to do it, and we can be first. And there's no other technology that is so lightweight that it can be run on device, which would give us a substantial time to create a moat, especially around EDU, education and students, because, let's let their first experience with video be who they see in the mirror, not regret and shame.
So, and then the next question would be, obviously, a lot of camera, video editing, things like that do wind up being incorporated into operating systems, into Android, into iOS. Do you see that? Do you ever see that kind of threat on this? And how would you navigate that?
It's as far as being taken. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Like there's always competitive threats out there, but we do have a sizable lead in the market today. I would think we're more attractive as an acquisition than somebody that you would just go in and compete against. So if Apple were to call, or hell, even Zoho, right? Like Atlassian purchased Loom for almost $1 billion. And so we believe there's a lot of video communications opportunities for acquisition.
Yeah, I don't mean this as a bad thing necessarily, right?
Yes. We hope it's great enough that it would just make sense to either buy us out or copy us.
And what were revenues last year?
Revenues last year were 340.
340.
340.
It's $1 million.
Yes, it's cumulative 1.1.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you guys made it to the end. The judges are going to take 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully, to deliberate. Feel free to go grab another drink, grab some snacks. Stick around, we'll announce the winner in just a few minutes. Thank you. Congratulations again to all of our companies. You guys rocked it. Okay, well, so this being year 2, the winner that we announced will be the founder who represents St. Louis at the Silicon Valley event. Come on up, judges. The winner will be up here in just a minute. Yeah. Okay, so drum roll, please. The winner is Assertion AI. Yao. Come on up, Yao. Awesome, thank you. Well, so Yao actually was at the event last year. He went, so this will be his second year going. And this year you get to...
I was the only company that went there that's not the winner. So, I mean, from St. Louis. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, thank you. It was, it was really, really nice. Thank you all. Yeah.
So it was actually great to see so many people that haven't come out. We need more of that. This is a really fantastic event that we get a chance to participate in. There's so many more that are coming, and that Emily's a part of, and everyone on the stage. We really want to create more opportunities like this. Yeah. So keep coming out. If you didn't win, this is not a you suck moment. This is a, hey, how can I improve just the pitching aspect, or what are the questions that the judges ask that trip me up, right? Like this is just a stepping stone to the next good thing, right? So don't be discouraged if you didn't win. That's not the point of this. So I'm sorry, last time I feel like we announced the third position and the second position, and there was like all this angst and chaos that erupted. I really want all of you to understand and like leave this with a real sense of, hey, what do I need to improve on? And let me seek out the people that can help me improve. Do that, please.
Well, and also, you guys kicked ass, so way to go. I'm really proud of St. Louis. You guys have a great night. Thank you all for coming. Feel free to grab food on the way out. I appreciate you. Everyone have a good night.